New on Daybreak, IMPD says no one was inside the car found in the pond on the city's west side this morning. Police were called to that scene at Greenswood Lane and North Lyndhurst Drive a little before 6. Indianapolis Fire Department's dive team searched the water but didn't find anyone. So far, it's not known who may have been driving the car or how many people were in the vehicle when it went into the pond.
New on Daybreak, one person has died in what was effectively a back-to-back crash on 465. Happened early this morning in the southbound lanes. This was the scene when things were pinched down to just a lane. State police say somebody first hit a retaining wall, then stalled in traffic, and about 10 minutes later, a motorcycle hit the stalled car, killing the rider. Troopers tell us the driver of the car is hurt. The crash scene is clear, and traffic has since been moving fairly freely.
Well, new numbers show the U.S. is seeing its worst measles outbreak in more than 30 years, and we're only a little over halfway through the year. The CDC says there have been 1,288 confirmed cases so far, though health experts believe the actual number is likely even higher. Here in Indiana, there are 9 confirmed cases, 8 in Allen County and 1 in Putnam County. If measles continue to spread for 12 consecutive months, the U.S. will lose its status of having eradicated the virus. And of course, we first told you yesterday about the new measles case confirmed in Putnam County.
Experts are urging people to stay up to date with MMR vaccine guidelines. We talked to Patrick Milligan. He's an infectious disease specialist at Community Health. Points out that severe cases of measles can cause blindness, swelling of the brain, death. He also says much of the state is below the vaccination rate that is considered to give herd immunity.
Anything below 90, you've pretty much lost that herd immunity protection. So you'll still get individual protection from the vaccine that you've gotten. Many counties in Indiana are in the range between kind of 80% up to kind of low 90% even for that population.
CDC recommends anyone born after 1956 to get at least one MMR vaccine dose. Those born earlier are considered to have immunity from the exposure that was much more common at that time. New on Daybreak, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy has canceled today's meeting of preventative care experts. It's a task force that makes recommendations about which services insurance companies must cover under the Affordable Care Act. Kennedy is not explaining the decision to cancel it. In a similar move, he had overhauled the CDC's vaccine advisory panel, replacing existing members with his own selections, some of them vaccine skeptics. Later this hour, WISH TV medical expert Dr. Janelle Gordon will look at the changes from a doctor's perspective about what they could mean for the future of public health.
Well, here in Indianapolis, IMPD says a woman is under arrest for neglect after a young person in her care was tied to an incident that led to a shooting on the northeast side. It's a story that we brought to you as it unfolded on Daybreak. Police were called last Thursday to a disturbance involving around 50 people at the West Village of Avondale Meadows Apartments. That's near 42nd and Sherman. When officers arrived, they say they found a man shot and critically injured. Investigators say they followed a trail of blood to an apartment where they detained a suspect and found several young people with him. One was armed. IMPD says 32-year-old Candace Strayhorn was also in that apartment. She is the legal guardian of at least one of those young people. Online record shows she is due in court tomorrow.
A new call from Indiana's Attorney General has some families frustrated. Todd Rokita wants to prevent gender changes on birth certificates, contending such moves falsify records. ITMate's Kyla Russell talked to Rokita and to a mother who says his push endangers her child.
Attorney General Todd Rokita tells me that the changing of a gender on an official record, like a birth certificate, is an integrity issue and sets a poor precedent. But people in the queer community say having the option is important to their safety.
I think it's extraordinarily unsafe.
Leslie Burnett asked not to be seen on camera for safety concerns. She's a mom to a few kids in the queer community, including a son who's transgender.
And it puts them in even more danger when they have to hand over identification that doesn't match the gender that they're saying they are.
She's holding off on making the change to her son's birth certificate until he's 18.
We didn't want to have to go through the process when he's under 18 and then again once he's over 18.
She may not be able to, though. Attorney General Todd Rokita just filed motions intervening in 5 cases across the state where people have asked trial courts to order the state health department to change the sex on a birth certificate to their desired gender.
If we allow people to come to court on a Tuesday because they feel like they're a girl, when on Monday it was clear and on Tuesday it's clear that they're a man, you can make a chaos, really, and a mockery out of official government documents. We cannot have that in the state of Indiana. We cannot have that anywhere. In any sane country, that wouldn't be the case, okay? So we're not going to let it happen here.
It comes after Governor Mike Braun issued an executive order in March that was used to block the health department from allowing gender markers. I asked Rokita what his message was to any person in the queer community who's worried about their safety if they can't get it changed.
If they really think they're a girl when they're a boy, they should go get help, and we want them to get help. But affirming their sickness, affirming their dysphoria, and it is a sickness, shouldn't be what we do here.
They shouldn't have any say. It's unfortunate that a lot of the lawmakers that are currently in their position don't have the experience of someone who's gender diverse or someone who's in the queer community.
Rokita tells me they'll take this to the highest court necessary to make sure the change sticks. Reporting here at the State House, I'm Kyla Russell for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
808 Caitlin Clark is back in the Fever lineup, but her return didn't come with a win at home. Clark nailed her first attempt out of 3 in yesterday's game and got a big cheer from the crowd. She finished with 10 points after sitting out several games due to her groin injury. Kelsey Mitchell led the team with 12 points, but it just was not enough. Golden State took the win 80-61. Well, that loss drops the Fever back below 500 for the season.
News 8's Angela Morian got a blunt assessment from the coach and the Stars.
All-star Caitlin Clark's return to the Indiana Fever starting lineup completely spoiled by a 19-point loss to the Golden State Valkyries this afternoon. And it wasn't pretty. It was a mix of poor shooting and bad defense that cost the Fever the game. In fact, the 61 points scored, the fewest in Gainbridge Fieldhouse this season. Fever head coach Stephanie White did not hold back about her team's inconsistency postgame.
There's always going to be adjustments when you're working people back into the lineup. There's no question about that. But the competitiveness and the attention to detail, and willingness to play with multiple levels of effort. Prime examples when we get defensive stops, but then they get multiple offensive rebounds. That's 1-2. That's competitive fire. And that's unacceptable.
We, struggled, scouting report wise. We struggled personnel. We struggled to do what the coaches asked of us. And then, overall, we just played with more energy and effort, and, those are the things that just can't happen. So, it's every single person on our team, and, nobody played well today.
We have a lot of inconsistency. We raise to the occasion when we're playing for 30,000, and then we need to bring that level of focus and that level of energy every single day. We really need to regroup, turn the page, learn from this, and come with a better mindset on Friday.
In terms of Clark's health, she said it felt good to be back out there, but it's going to take some time to get the wind back in her. White said she was overall pleased with what she saw out of her All-Star for her first game back. The next chance to see Clark and the Fever here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse will be Friday at 7:30 against the Atlanta Dream. For now, I'm Angela Morian for Wish TV and WishTV.com.